Today I'm standing in front of an absolutely massive guava tree. It is also a guava tree that hasn't been pruned in, I think, ever. It has trunks coming out all over the place. It has incredibly vertical growth. And most importantly, it's not busy putting on a lot of fruit. There's the odd little guava here and there on the tips, but once again, they are right at the top, which I guess is about 5 to 6 meters high. So what you and I are going to be doing today is we are going to be pruning this. We're going to be making some big decisions, but ultimately this is all going to be gone. And we're going to be choosing 1, maybe 2 stems. And I'm going to talk you through the thinking and thought process of not just what we're doing now, but what we're doing now for the future. So if you want to learn how to prune a really big, overgrown, mature guava tree, stick around. So when it comes to growing guava trees, there are a few things you need to know. If you don't know these things, it could make growing guavas pretty tricky. And I've also done 2 previous videos, which I will link in the description below, which is how you need to prune them when they are a little bit smaller, and also how you need to thin your guava fruit to make sure that you actually get fruit. Because like many fruit trees, it will put on as much fruit as it can. But to get the biggest, best, juiciest fruit, we need to thin them so that the plant can put the energy into not a whole bunch of little fruits, but a few really nice big ones. So I've done 2 extra videos, which you definitely should give a watch. But what are some of the things we need to know about guavas? Well, firstly, and probably most importantly, is they fruit on new growth. So if we look at this stem that I'm holding on to and this branch, everything above me, none of this is going to give us fruit. None of this, as you can see below, tends to put on a lot of new growth. It puts on growth around the growing tips as well. So that's another thing to consider. It has beautiful long trunks, but all the growth is up at the top. The most important thing you need to know. Then you also need to realize that a guava is very much like a fig. It grows a huge amount very quickly in a year. So very much like a fig, you can be incredibly brave when it comes to pruning. You could actually just prune a guava like a fig at the ground and it'll just spring back up. You don't want to do that because then it's going to send out all these shoots and you're going to have a whole bunch of trunks like this. So what we want to do is we want to choose a stem, we want to get a tree structure in place, knowing every year we're going to cut this tree back almost all the way to where the original cut was. Then with guavas and figs pretty much, we can forget the rule of pruning a third of the tree. Because they are so aggressive, they are so strong and resilient, we don't need to worry about the 1/3 rule. If you don't know what the 1/3 rule is, generally speaking, when it comes to pruning fruit trees, you only want to take off 1/3 of the growth every year so that you don't waste or take too much energy from the tree putting on new growth year after year. Not the same with these. They can put on 3 to 4 meters of growth in a single season. So we don't need to worry about that. That's why with this one, we can be incredibly aggressive. Then another thing with guavas is they're not picky. They can grow in clay soil, in loamy soil, in sandy soil. They're really resilient trees. They are very productive and they don't actually need a lot of feeding, fertilizing either. They just naturally produce a lot of fruit. And the fruit, if you know guavas, is incredible. You can eat it fresh, you can can it, you can dry it. There's so much you can do with it. So just knowing those few basic principles about guavas is really going to set you up for success in the future. But now that we know a little bit more about it, let's take a look at this tree. And I'm going to talk you through some of the thinking, what we need to do, and then we're going to get into just absolutely decimating this tree. For the good though. I must say, and I have to admit, one of my favorite things about guava trees, besides the fruit obviously, is the wood. Guava tree wood is just absolutely spectacular. It has this beautiful, ridged, smooth, glossy, not glossy actually, more of a matte bark that just, it flakes, and underneath it, it's just so beautiful in all the different colors and textures. You can see this big trunk behind me is a really good example of what makes a guava tree so beautiful. However, this one is completely rotten at the base over here and underneath. You can see I can actually wiggle the whole tree, which is not good to set a foundation for what is hopefully many years of growth. So when it comes to making a decision, these are things we need to look at. By now, you should know the 3 Ds. If you don't, it's dead, diseased, and the other one is crossing. So we're going to be looking at, this is a dead branch, so dead trunk actually. It's going to come off at the base. We're going to look for diseased branches, which there aren't any. Well, there's a lot of crossing branches, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be selecting 1 or 2 trunks. You can see this was the primary trunk, and now due to, I suppose, improper maintenance, if we look at this little one over here, you see, this is a sucker, and this is coming from the root stock. The root is coming out, spreading, and from the roots, guava trees shoot up suckers. And that's what all of these are. These are all suckers. Here's another small one over here. And if we don't prune this, this will turn into another trunk. So guava maintenance and pruning of suckers is crucially important. But because this main trunk is dead on the inside and diseased, we're going to take this out and we're going to choose 1, 2, or multiple of these, I suppose, suckers that turned into branches. So the first thing we need to do is we need to analyze the base, and we need to have a look at what can we potentially keep, what can't we keep. We're going to look at stuff like things like position. So if you look at the end over there, there's a retaining wall. So we don't want to take any trunk that's too close to that retaining wall, because that's going to be the walkway over there, which is going to leave too much space behind me. So that immediately eliminates branches like this one over there, this one at the back, because they're too far there. So using the process of elimination, we can already start selecting quite a few trunks. Then the most important thing when it comes to doing an analysis of the bottom is we need to decide the shape of the tree that we are looking for. Now with guava trees, there's 2 shapes you can go for. One is a tree structure, which is you have 1 stem, and from that stem you can then branch out into a tree. The other one is you can go with a cluster in the ground, multiple trunks coming out. And this over here would be a cluster. We have 1, 2, 3, and the 3 of them growing vertically, when we prune them, will go out. And then we have a beautiful cluster effect. The same as a tree, just more stems. In this example where I'm showing you now, this is my friend's house and they have this big tree. They want to still put a 5,000 litre water tank next to this, and they want to clean up the area so that you can easily get past. So a clump, multi-stemmed guava tree in this instance isn't going to work. So we're going with a single stem, maybe 2, so we can get a little bit of a V structure, but that's already going to help us, because what we're going to look at is, here's a cluster, there's a cluster, and then there's another cluster behind us. So we can now start eliminating clusters based on position, crossing branches, the structure, things like that. So that's the first thing you want to do. You don't want to go to the top, you want to start at the bottom. This is going, and then we're going process of elimination. Now what we have decided for this specific tree is that we're going to go with these two over here. There's one going up here, and there are two horizontal branches coming out the side, which is great. Then the one right next to it is slightly off to the other side. There's one branch going out towards the front, and then there's one up at the top. However, as soon as we prune this tree hard, it is going to stimulate back budding, so we will get more branches, at least new growth coming down the stem, and that's where we can start choosing our new growth. So we're going to be going with these two over here, which means absolutely everything else needs to go. It's going to be brutal, but it's going to be good. So change of plan. Remember I said I was going to keep those back too? Well, after removing this big one and looking at the amount of light that's come in, I've seen this one next to me, how much it's opened up. It has a nice thick trunk, but most importantly is it's got these two big sturdy branches here already. And what I'm thinking is we keep this as a single stem because it's just below hip height, which is ideal. This middle stem will come out so we can create a vase shape. But I'm thinking we're going to go with this one as the main single stem trunk as opposed to those two at the back. I suppose therein lies a lesson. Don't be stuck to what you have decided. Go slowly, relook. Do something, relook. As you take away growth, as you take away trunks, you'll find the shape of the tree changes, the shape of the space changes. So always be open to changing your original idea and work with what the tree has to offer. I was not expecting that tree to fall in the camera. Luckily the camera is fine. I'm going to remove these dead twigs. And now we have what is a very bare but beautiful tree structure. And remember what I said, guava trees grow incredibly aggressively, put on a lot of growth, and you can be aggressive. So we have this main trunk hip height. We want to now create our vase shape. So we're going to be aggressive, and I'm going to go about 30 centimeters up. I'm going to look for an outward facing bud, and I'm just going to snip. And then what I want to do is, this is actually cut the wrong way, it needs to be going that way. Then I want to do the same on this side. I want to go about the same height. I want to go lower or higher because that could impact the growth rates. So I'm going to go look for a outward facing bud, which is about here. And there we go. And that, my friends, is all you need to do. This little, whatever it is, this catty, this V-shape stump that's left here, really doesn't look like much. And one would think that I've just killed the tree, but I am going to come back to this tree in a couple of months' time, because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to come and choose our branches. This tree, in response to what we've just done, is going to put out growth everywhere. And we need to very quickly, before the growth actually sets, just come break the new branches off so we can choose our branch structure. So yes, pruning can be daunting. It can be scary, but if you know your trees and what they can be capable of, then it's perfectly fine. I would never do this to an apple, a pear, many fruit trees. I would never do this to citrus, because you run a really good risk of actually killing them. But a guava and a fig, I would do this, and I do it all the time. So I hope you have got some inspiration to get to better prune your guavas and your guava trees. If you have a big mature guava tree and you don't know what to do, follow these steps. Start at the bottom, look at your bases, think about the structure you want, and then just go for it. Don't be afraid. The tree will bounce back. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to support this channel, you can join, you can buy me a coffee, and please do subscribe to follow my urban sustainability journey. Thank you to all of my loyal supporters. You are deeply appreciated. Until next time, happy homesteading.